Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Yani, and today we are going to be reacting to 5-star reviews of books that I actually hated. Now, hate, kind of a strong word, but I really dislike these books, and I know for a fact that I dislike these books. These in particular, as I was reading them, I was like, oh no, these are not the books for me. But still, for one reason or another, I read them, I finished them, I thought they were going to have some payoff towards the end, and they didn't, and we're going to be talking about those books. Now, I already did a counter video to this. One of the first videos that I ever did on this channel was reacting to 1-star reviews of books that I loved, which was a little bit more brutal. I'm kind of just interested in the flip side now. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and get started. And we're going to start reading reviews off of my iPad, off of Goodreads specifically, and let's just jump right in. So the first book that I'm going to start reading 5-star reviews of is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. So, fun fact, I have a really great memory when it comes to books that I read. I've met a lot of people who they read something and they might love it, but they struggle to remember details. That is not me. If I could remember a thorough plot analysis of a book that I read 15 years ago, if I liked it. If I don't remember the details of a book, that means I didn't like it. So all of that to preface the fact that I barely remember what The Cruel Prince in particular is about, but you can see right here on Goodreads, my review is a 1-star review. So real quick synopsis. Of course, I want to be like them. They're beautiful as blades forged in some divine fire. They will live forever, and Carden is even more beautiful than the rest. I hate him more than all the others. I hate him so much that sometimes when I look at him, I can hardly breathe. Boy, I'm remembering a lot. Why didn't I like this book? I felt that the writing was poor, personally, and I found Jude kind of insufferable. As far as Carden goes, I understand the intrigue of enemies to lovers. I am all for a good enemies to lovers, but I don't think that this was a good enemies to lovers. Granted, did I read the rest of the series? No. I hated this book so much that I could not even fathom making myself read the second one. But I'm looking at my review. I said, what a mess, laughing emoji. I don't even remember when did I read this. When did I read this? I don't know, but I really, really didn't like that. I didn't like Jude. I didn't like Carden. I didn't like the foundation that was set for them to be enemies to lovers. And it's not because they were too much on the enemy side. Like, it's not about that. I can handle strong enemies that go into strong lovers, but they both felt weak. And I don't understand the appeal of Carden. And I don't think Jude was an intelligent person. And I remember in particular this one scene, and I don't think this is spoilerish because I can barely remember, but it involved espionage and there was 2 other people and I don't know. I don't know. It was so bad that I've kind of like erase it from my memory. But let's just go ahead and jump into reading the 5-star reviews. Okay, this person said, if you guys ever want to see what my true heart's desires are on paper, read this book. This book is a piece of heaven that was sent from above. This book is the perfection incarnate. This book is nothing short of magical. This book easily makes my top 5 books of all time list. And this book is without a doubt the best book I've read in 2017. I'm not sure how I'm even going to attempt to come up with a review fitting for this masterpiece, but I'm going to try. This person wrote an extremely long review, but I think I'll leave it there. Your heart's desire is on this book. This is not a good book. And granted, that's my opinion. That is my opinion. My opinion is not greater or more valid than anybody else's opinion. That's not what I'm saying, but I have read this book. What on earth does your heart desire that is reflected in this book? Because it was nothing short of mediocre. and nothing particularly extravagant or beautiful or even aspirational happens for me to think that for me to understand where your heart's desires are met here. Um, but again, like everybody is going to take things in differently. There's books that I've liked that I know have received a lot of criticism. I do like the A Court of Thorns and Roses series, and I know there's people out there who would tear me up and say, like, who are you to talk if you like that piece of trash, you know? And to some people, it's the epitome of trash. And to me, I like it. So again, like, not everyone is gonna like the same things, and what I feel about a book is not more valid than anyone else's opinion or hold more merit. Um, but I truly don't understand. And, you know, the best book I've read in 2017, I almost have temptation to go into this reviewer's profile and see what else she read in 2017 if it's public and make a judgment call off that. I'm not going to, but I don't know, guys. Like, this was really like, if I had to put a list of worst books I've read for all time, like throughout my entire life, that would be in the top 5. So it's hard for me to see how it could do anything good for anyone else. But, you know, let's just keep reading other reviews and probably they will. Emma said, absolutely loved this read. A wondrous fantasy novel that is easy to get invested in. So many great plot twists and high intensity suspenseful moments. Holly Black is truly the queen of creating exquisite worlds. Her interpretation of fairies is always so fascinating and glorious. It's hard to fully capture what it is about her world building that is so magical, but her books are always my favorite when it comes to fairies. Okay. Definitely an easy book to get invested in. So I will give that reviewer that, of course. It was, I think I read it in maybe 2 days. It's a super quick, easy book to get into. So if that's what you want, if that is what likens you to a book, if you are in a reading slump and just want something that is going to snap you out of it, that you can move quickly, that's not too serious, but not too stale, it does have that going for it. And maybe if that's all you're looking for, then The Cruel Prince is, you know, worthy of that 5-star designation. Um, it is a fairy book for sure. It's not the best fairy book that I've read. What I do like and what I can appreciate about um this book, though, is that it is closer to fairy lore than, say, other fairy books, because the fairies are not nice creatures, they're not glamorous creatures. I mean, they're glamorous in the sense of like there is a glamour, but they're not friendly, they're not nice. And I think from what I recall, she does lean into these attributes that are really like fairies as opposed to having, you know, a Tinkerbell type of fairy or a Court of Thorns and Roses type of fairy, where it's just like, oh, those silly old rumors, that's not true. And that she does do a good job of leaning more into actual fairy lore and some of the darkness that is surrounded with that. So I could see that as definitely an attribute. Love, 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 love. I guess this person loved it. It's simply perfect. I cannot believe it took me this long to read it. Y'all were so right. The plot twist, the drama, the characters, how morally gray they are. Oh, how I binged it. I get it, y'all. I get it. This is your sign to read it or even reread it. Okay. Who am I to say that what you loved is without merit? If you loved it, you loved it, you know? Uh, I don't remember there being a lot of plot twists. In fact, I just remember everything that did happen being so predictable, easy, and boring. But maybe I'm a hard critic. I do like and agree that the characters were morally great. There was not one person that was just completely right, and the people that were wrong, say like Carden being a bully, um, there were some layers to that. So I appreciate the moral grayness of characters as well. Therefore, you know, I'll give it that as well. But I didn't love it the way this person loved it. Some books are born great, some achieve greatness, and some have greatness thrust upon them. This book is all of the above. My mind simply cannot comprehend what I just read because its greatness transcends human understanding. What a blessed world we live in where this kind of greatness exists for us mere mortals. Okay. Okay. um, this I really do not think that this book is great. Obviously, that's the whole point. I feel like the characters fell flat. The I feel like everything was convenient at all points. Even the plot twist, even the way they were handled, even the moral grayness of the characters just felt so contrived. And obviously it is, but I don't want to feel that necessarily. Um, but I'm glad that Jessica loved it, you know? I'm glad she did. Those were The Cruel Prince. Let's go ahead and move on to a different book. Another book that I really did not like is The Dutch House by Ann Patchett. Man, this book. I remember being so annoyed with this book because I just really did not like the characters. I hated the characters. That was it, first and foremost. And I'm not somebody who has to love the characters, to love the story. I'm okay with an unreliable narrator. I'm okay with an unpleasant narrator. But it was to the point where I just could not. I could not. And I read the whole book. I read the whole freaking book. I should have just thrown it out the window.
What the fuck?
Yeah, I should have just thrown it out the window. I remember specifically, I bought this book because the cover was so cool. I thought I was sold by the cover, and that is my fault. And I have read another Ann Patchett book. I read Bel Canto last year, and I liked it a little bit better. I don't know that she's the author for me, since now that's, a couple of her books that I haven't really liked. But with Bel Canto, I was able to get through it without feeling like I wanted to pull my hair out. I remember finishing this book, and I think I read it a while ago, and just wanting to quite literally just pull my hair out. And I remember ranting about it and how dumb the characters were. I really did not like any of the characters. So, what is The Dutch House about? At the end of the Second World War, Cyril Conroy combines luck and a single canny investment to begin an enormous real estate empire, propelling his family from poverty to enormous wealth. His first order of business is to buy the Dutch House, a lavish estate in the suburbs outside of Philadelphia. Meant as a surprise for his wife, the house sets in motion the undoing of everyone he loves. So, it's about a really nice house and the family within the really nice house, and it's told by the man who bought the house. It's told by his son's perspective, I believe. I know there's a sister. I dislike them all. But let's just go ahead and see what the 5-star reviews have to say about it. Just punch me in the heart next time, Patchett. It'd be faster. Fair enough. She might as well have just punched me in the heart too. It would have been faster than having me slowly deal with the anguish of this horrible story. What a freaking masterpiece this is. Let's begin with, prior to reading this book, I was impartial. I'm not going to get into the summary because I went in as blind as I could, and I think that benefited me. I had no expectations whatsoever. Within the first few pages, I was hooked. Miss Patchett's beautiful writing had my jaw on the floor. I am in awe of her talent, and it played out so well in my mind that I was in that house with them. I was sitting next to them in the car. I was a fly on the wall. I was there. If you like books that make you feel a spectrum of emotions, the sight of laughter for a few quirky characters, and this book is an absolute must read. She does have beautiful writing. That is something that the author has going for her. Like, she writes well. And that's likely why I stuck it out all the way to the end, is because it wasn't terrible to physically read. There, I'm sure I highlighted, I mean, I don't even own a copy. I just got rid of it. I did not I did not even want to own it, but I do remember the writing being one of the highlights. And you do sort of feel like a fly on the wall. So the things that this reviewer is saying made it a five-star book for her. These are all true. All these things are true. They all have extreme merit. I suppose it just did not make up for the other things for me. Clearly, it was enough for this reviewer to give it the 5 stars that she did. So more power to her. Didn't even have to think about this one. 5 stars because everything in this novel is perfect. From the masterful beginning until the perfect ending and everything in between. The characters who feel like family, the Dutch house itself, the story which loops around and circles in upon itself, surprises, unexpected opportunities, and also the letting go of hatred and revenge when there's no point in them anymore. I'm still not sure how I feel about the mother, but I'll be dwelling on her for quite some time. I don't even remember the mother that much. And I don't really remember because I didn't like it, right? If I had liked the book, I'd remember a lot more. Something that I can give to the book that is somewhat mentioned in this review is that the house does sort of become its own character, which is neat, which is fun, obviously. It has its own personality, its own place, and you kind of, its own entity in this family, which is interesting because it's obviously just an inanimate house. So I think that's super cool too. And if again, like all of the things that I'm reading as the reasons why people gave it 5-star reviews, I understand. If not, it just wasn't enough for me. But she has a point. Extraordinary story with beautiful prose and a touching plot which just so happens to primarily take place in my native Philadelphia. Family harmony, disharmony, love and apathy, and all relatable emotions families will and do experience in varying degrees depending on life circumstances. Most importantly, never underestimate the power of forgiveness and letting go of old resentments. I read this so long ago. I really believe I was still in high school when I read this. So I'd be willing to try to read it again and see if I appreciate it differently or take something differently away from it because it does seem to be a lot about forgiveness, letting go, moving on, the ups and downs of family and the troubles and basically trials and tribulations and resentment, all of that. And those are things that if I saw in the book now, I feel like I would appreciate. So maybe I will give it another read and see if I like it more. Don't hold me to that. Don't hold me to that because I really remember how much I disliked this when I did read it. But it does, I think also with this particular review, the person has a connection because it takes place in their home city. And that is something to account for as well. Last review. The Dutch House by Anne is a fabulous book. The story is told through the eyes of Danny. He takes us on an incredible journey involving his parents, his sister, various housekeepers, stepmothers, stepsisters, children, and many, many others. The story starts not long after the end of World War II and revolves around an old mansion previously built and owned by the Van Hobeek family. There's no need to tell you much about the story other than its complex, layered, and believable family saga covering 3 generations. I may have to reread this again because reading the reviews, there's so many buzzwords that if I saw them now, I would be interested in having such an inner dynamic between the families and different people within the house, like the housekeepers and the stepchildren. The fact that it's complex and layered, I appreciate a family saga. I can't say I've read, many, but I appreciate them. So maybe I just have to give this book another go, but really, I just have the absolute worst memories of reading it and hating it and ranting about how frustrated and annoying all of the characters were, how I disliked every single person. I mean, and maybe that's because I was reading it in a juvenile place and it was more of an adult read. I don't know. Maybe I should read it now. Um, but that is The Dutch House, and those are the 5-star reviews. And I think I'm ready to move on to the next book. My next 1-star read that I'm going to be reading 5-star reviews of is Anxious People by Fredrik Backman. I had such high hopes for this book because I am a bit of an anxious person. So I thought that a book called Anxious People was going to be really relatable to me, especially because it's a full cast of people with that sort of, issue. I'm like, I'm gonna relate to somebody. And I think the story just felt really flat to me. And I remember, I'm not gonna spoil it, but I do remember the plot twist at the end. And I remember rolling my eyes and being like, I hated the plot twist. I thought it was so lazy and cheap and turned me off so much. And it was, and I still read it. It didn't make me want to like pull my hair out. It was just disappointing and felt really flat to me. But Anxious People, a poignant, charming novel about a crime that never took place, a would-be bank robber who disappears into thin air, and 8 extremely anxious strangers who find they have more in common than they ever imagined. So it's a group of people who were they were looking at real estate. I don't know if they were looking for an office building or a house. I don't remember. But they were looking at real estate, and then somebody robs the bank across the street and kind of takes them hostage in order to negotiate or whatever. Um, but it's not even intense. It's not even like a high intensity situation. It's like a low intensity situation. And then again, the plot twist, trash, didn't like it. Um, and then you just follow the different people that are being taken hostage in the situation, how they're feeling, how they're taking it. That's why it's called Anxious People. But let's just go ahead and jump right into the 5-star reviews. What an absolute gem this turned out to be. It's quintessential Backman, quirky, heartwarming, and uplifting. On the surface, Anxious People is a story about a bank robbery gone wrong. The bank robber, having failed at robbing a bank, bursts upon an apartment viewing and proceeds to take a group of unfortunate strangers hostage. This group of mismatched folks, each with their secret fears and mistakes, slowly open up their hearts to one another and as a result find their lives inexplicably changed for the better. At its heart, this is a story that speaks to humanity in all of us. No matter our backgrounds or our experiences, we each have done the best we can with what we are given. Reading this book feels like digging through a treasure trove with wonderful surprises at every turn. There's even a little mystery in here when the police tries to reconstruct what happened. Okay, I guess it has a happy ending. It has a happy ending. So, yay, yes, for uplifting. And I do remember with the hostages, they're all unique. They are mismatched, but they all have like interesting perspectives. And, they're all at that apartment viewing for different reasons too, and have different things going on in their lives. And that's interesting in that respect. So if you are someone who likes a happy ending, I guess this is the book for you. It says this speaks to the humanity in all of us. I don't know if I lack humanity. It did not speak to me, especially the bank robber. I think the book tries to have us really empathize with the instigator of this situation, and I just don't. I do not. As for the writing style being quirky and the themes being somewhat sentimental, yes, yes, that's a plus. I've never read anything else by this author, so I don't know what they're known for, what their style is. Having read this book deterred me from reading any other of his books. I don't feel like this book was a treasure trove of surprises at every turn. It just really felt flat for me, and that's just what it is. But okay, next review. Thought-provoking, heartbreaking, but amusing. It's a perfect mix of tragic and hilarious, believable and absurd. The whimsical and humorous writing style about real subjects like suicide, depression made this story remarkable. I don't remember talk of like suicide and depression. So, and again, like it's been a while since I read it. I don't remember all the little fine details, and I do remember it ends in an uplifted note. So, trigger warning, but not really. I'm happy that there's people who were able to see themselves in this book and feel represented as far as some of maybe their emotions goes. That did not happen for me, but I'm very happy to see it happen for other people. So, and clearly that seems to be a commonality in some of the reviews that I'm seeing. A lot of people felt seen, and you know what? Good for them. Good for you. That's you in this book. What will happen when a profoundly compassionate person decides to take a bunch of crazy people as hostages? Fredrik Backman shows it marvelously through this novel. What makes this novel unique? Is it the elegance amid the chaos? Is it the hope of a better future amid the downright macabre of the present? Is it the humor amid the tragedy? Is it the author's prowess to make us smile and cry at the same time? This book is an artistic creation which subjugates our introspection and overwhelms our contemplations on possible comparisons and interpretations. If you are an art aficionado, you are invariably going to relish the experience of reading this book. That's a lot of big words. um, I don't know. I don't think this book is elegant, um, or unique, honestly. I feel like there's tons of stories about a hostage situation where the person who's taking other people hostage has compassion. Um, I don't think that's unique. If anything, the uniqueness comes in the individual characters that you get to come across and learn a bit about. But also, to the first sentence, what will happen when a profoundly compassionate person decides to keep a bunch of crazy people as hostages? No profoundly compassionate person would do that. That is an oxymoron. No compassionate person is going to put other people through that sort of trauma, unless they are a loser. I'm sorry. I don't remember the specifics of what this person had going on. I don't mean to offend anyone who maybe saw themselves in that character, but I also hope that you would not take a whole bunch of people hostage, because that would take away a lot of your compassion. And I don't think it exists. I don't think you can be profoundly compassionate and put people through this situation. But that's just me. That's where me and this reviewer disagree. Backman does it again. I loved it. I could only assume the book was about me and my people. That's cute. In all seriousness, though, it is appropriate title because it is a character study and a character-driven mystery. As you learn about the people along the way, you might learn a little bit about yourself. I love the way that Backman writes. I'm excited every time I see a new book is out. This was another couch time listen with my wife. We enjoy finding books we think we might both enjoy. Take time after the kids have gone to bed to listen to them together. It's my favorite time of the day. This was an awesome audiobook and I love the narration. Cool. Maybe the audiobook is better than physically reading it. I read it. I didn't listen to the audiobook, but maybe the audiobook enhances the experience. It's so cute how this reviewer listened to it with his wife as quality time. That's sweet. That makes me love this for him. I love that they loved this book because they did that together. That's so lovely. And as far as him seeing himself in the people, my issue was not with the people themselves. I mean, they all had their own unique stuff going on. And again, I, at least at the time, self-identified as a more anxiety-driven person. So I have anxiety and struggled with that in the past. And I was, I would never judge an anxious person being anxious and responding to that, how they're going to respond to. I didn't see myself in any of these characters. I didn't particularly love or respect most of the choices and all of that, but that's just me. And it doesn't take away from, how this affected other people in the positive and how other people were able to relate to it. And again, so cute that this person, used it to bond with their partner. That's absolutely lovely. And if I maybe had that experience where I listened to it with someone that I loved through an audiobook that was really good, maybe I would have liked it more too. So that's super sweet. This final book that I'm going to be reading 5-star reviews of is Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. I feel like that one might pick a lot of bones, might ruffle a couple of feathers. I actually read this with a friend. We have like our little group book thing that sometimes we like read the same book, and I really wanted to like this, but I thought it was mid. Honestly, I thought it was mid. I listened to the audiobook, which I think actually even made me like it more because it was fully narrated. And this book does take place in outer space, so it had all these sound effects, which I think contributed a lot to the ambiance of the story. I feel like that was the best possible way that I could have consumed it to improve my chances of liking it, and I still didn't really like it. It I think though that it will make a great adaptation, and I do believe it's becoming a movie. And I will definitely go watch the movie. I think some things, contrary to popular belief, I think some things are better as movies, and I think this might just be one of them. And I will definitely be watching it when it comes out. But the book, mid. plot twist, though. It did have a plot twist, and I didn't see it coming, so I will give it that. So what is Project Hail Mary about? I'm actually just gonna try to go off of memory here because this one I do remember somewhat vividly. It's about there's something going on with the sun. And as you know, the sun is sustaining life. So for there to be an issue, that is a big issue. It's about this brave group of people who go to space to fix this problem. And then this man, he wakes up, he doesn't really have any memory. He's just, in the space shuttle doing this mission, and he's just doing the mission, and he comes across an unlikely ally. And that is the book. And it's Project Hail Mary. I can profoundly, honestly, and excitedly announce a grandiose winner. Though my overworked brain cells may not have had the capacity to absorb every intricate scientific detail and mind-blowing world building, I fell hard for the parts I could grasp, and that was more than enough for me to thoroughly enjoy this book. It truly embraced my inner weirdness and nerdy side in equal measure. It's a nerdy book. It's totally a nerdy book. If you're super, super nerdy into sci-fi, it's a book for you. I don't know how accurate the science is. That doesn't really matter to me when I'm reading a science fiction. But if you like that, if you like to hear these explanations and hear these formulas that make it feel real or like it could actually be plausible, then this book does have that. So I understand why this person gave it 5 stars if it really helped them connect with their inner weird, nerdy self. I get that, and that's awesome. I love when books do that for me. So the fact that this book could do that for that person, that's a win. If I didn't like it, I'm glad that they did. I just think it's funny how I've already filmed my best books of 2021 video with a clown face emoji. That's cute. That's cute. Clearly this person loved it. They didn't give a lot of detail, but it would have been high enough that they would have like put it in their best books of the year. And that's awesome. I love that for them. I love to see people find and connect with books that they love. So I'm glad this person was able to do it. It's a shame that it didn't make the best of their 2021 list. But at least it's on Goodreads. So while it lacked much of the tension I'm used to in my reads, it was nonetheless extremely entertaining from start to finish. It is entertaining. It's fun. It was a fun book. It wasn't that difficult to read or listen to. And that's why I'm excited to see the movie. I think it'll be a really fun, action-packed space, kind of funny even movie. I think it'll do great in that medium, lacking the tension that he's used to in his reads. I don't know what he's typically reading. I don't remember what the tension was like. I do remember that the stakes were high though. That is it, my friends. Thank you so much for joining me for this video and for learning about some of the books that I didn't like. And just because I don't like something doesn't mean anything. If you liked any of these books, that's awesome. That's perfect. Tell me why. And if you're interested in any of these books based off the reviews, that's awesome. If you read it, let me know. But also check out my other video where I read 1-star reviews of books that I love, and maybe read some of those that you and I could be like this. But yeah, thank you guys so much for joining me. I'm so grateful to have you here. Please stay tuned for videos every single week, and I will see you guys next time.